The orchids smelled too sweet, like perfume left too long on the skin. Their heavy scent clung to the air as the guests filled the cathedral, cameras flashing, the echo of music swelling beneath the vaulted ceiling. I stood at the altar, veiled, trembling, heart a fist of nerves in my chest. I told myself I was ready. I told myself this was victory. I had clawed my way here. Daniel Valenza, tall, handsome, boyishly careless in the way of men who had never known hunger, smiled at me with a nervous energy that softened his sharp jawline. His hands trembled when he slid the ring onto my finger. His words cracked when he said, "I do." To the world it was a fairy tale, the self-made girl marrying into Brazil's most powerful dynasty. To me, it was supposed to be safety, an escape from the nights of counting coins and wondering if the lights would stay on. But even then, beneath the music, beneath the smiles, beneath the storm of petals raining over us, I felt the weight of his father's gaze, Victor Valenza. The cameras loved him more than the bride or groom. His silver hair gleamed beneath the chandeliers, his tuxedo cut like armor, his smile practiced, devastating. People moved around him as if gravity bent differently in his orbit. He raised his glass to the crowd, toasting our union. But his eyes lingered too long on me. When midnight came, so did the fall. The chandelier above the dance floor swayed once, twice, then crashed down in a rain of crystal and fire. Screams erupted, the music cut into silence. Daniel shoved me aside, but not fast enough. Shards tore across his temple, blood spilling bright against his tuxedo. I should have been the one protecting him. I should have been the one bleeding. But in that frozen second, it was Victor's body shielding mine. Victor's arms wrapping around me, his jacket thrown over my head. The world collapsed in glass, and I breathed him in. Cedar, smoke, a scent that branded itself into my lungs. When the chaos settled and Daniel was carried away by medics, I sat in the corridor of the hospital, dress torn, hair tangled, heart split between terror and shame. And there he was, Victor, leaning against the wall like marble carved into human form. He said, "You're safe with me, Marina." Safe. The word was a prison. He left before I could respond, but the echo of his voice filled the sterile hallway, and I knew something had shifted. The morning after, the house felt too large for one bride. Glass still crunched beneath my heels as I walked the marble corridors of the Valenza estate. Daniel lay in bed upstairs, groaning in pain, but alive. His mother's portraits lined the hallway. Teresa Valenza, frozen forever in oil paint, her smile soft, but her eyes sad. I found the prenup papers still stacked on Daniel's desk. I shouldn't have looked, but curiosity is a hunger I've never managed to starve. The clauses stretched beyond what I remembered signing. Property, shares, foundations. The Teresa Valenza Foundation in particular appeared again and again, its veto power carved into stone. Why did a dead woman's charity hold more weight in this family than the bride who had just married into it? "Reading on your honeymoon?" Victor's voice slid into the room before his body appeared. He moved like someone who had learned long ago never to rush, because time itself bent to his will. His eyes landed on the papers, then on me. "You signed. That makes it binding." "It's more than binding," I said, surprising myself with the sharpness in my voice. "It's strangling." A smile touched his lips, not warm, but dangerous. "Everything here is strangling, Marina. You'll learn to breathe differently." And then he left, just as Daniel stirred awake upstairs. The first gala came only a week later. Daniel insisted I stand at his side, though his eyes darted with unease, his hands sweaty in mine. The ballroom glittered, chandeliers hung intact, guests buzzing with rumors of sabotage. Some said it was political rivals. Others whispered that it was a message from within. Victor arrived late, as if the entire evening had waited for his entrance. He swept through the room, laughter breaking, hands grasped, glasses raised. He didn't need to be announced. People simply turned when he moved. I tried to hold Daniel's hand tighter, to ground myself in my marriage, but across the room, Victor's gaze found me. Heat spread down my spine like a secret I didn't ask to share. It was then that a woman in sequins brushed past me, her perfume sharp, her smile fixed. She slipped a folded note into my hand without pausing. I opened it beneath the table, fingers trembling. Ask about Teresa's diary before you trust him. The words hit me harder than the chandelier ever could. That night, when Daniel had collapsed into sleep beside me, I searched. His study smelled of paper and bourbon. I pried at drawers, shifted books, tapped against hollow wood. I found photos, Teresa with her family, Teresa smiling at gala dinners, Teresa holding a young Daniel. Her eyes always sad, her smile always strained. But no diary. When I asked Daniel the next morning, his expression hardened. "Don't bring my mother into this," he snapped. "Dad loved her. Everyone knows that." His voice cracked on the last words, and he left before I could answer. The call came from Renato 2 days later. Renato Prado, university friend, investigative journalist, stubborn idealist who once told me I deserved more than the world would allow. His voice on the phone was sharp, urgent. "Marina, the chandelier wasn't an accident. Someone wanted a message delivered and the Valences are covering it. I've got leads, but it's dangerous. And listen to me, Teresa's death wasn't the accident they told the press either. Don't let them swallow you whole. Get out while you can." His words struck a match to the unease already burning in me. But when I hung up, Victor was there in the doorway of the estate, his eyes steady, his smile a blade. "You're safe with me, Marina." And for the first time, I wasn't sure if safety was what I feared most. That night I dreamed of Teresa. She stood in the hallway of the estate, her diary pressed to her chest, her lips moving but no sound escaping. She reached toward me, eyes filled with desperation. When I woke, the window was open, the curtains whipping in the wind, and on my nightstand lay a single page of handwriting that was not mine. "The empire is built on," and the line ended in a smear of ink. I sat upright, breath caught, knowing someone had placed it there while I slept. I woke with a scream caught in my throat. The page lay inches from my face, its edges curled, its ink blurred, but unmistakably real. "The empire is built on..." The words ended in a violent slash of pen, as if someone had ripped the sentence out of Teresa Valence's hand. I pressed the sheet to my chest, my heart thundering. How had it appeared on my nightstand? The window was open, the curtains thrashing like frantic wings. The house slept silent around me, yet I felt eyes in the walls, whispers in the vents. The doorknob rattled. I shoved the page under my pillow just as the door opened. Victor stood there, unannounced, dressed in black as if the night itself had wrapped around him. His eyes fell on the pillow, then on me. "You screamed. Bad dream?" I swallowed. My lips wanted to say yes, but my heart knew better. "Maybe." He stepped into the room, closing the door with a quiet click that sounded like a lock. His presence filled the space, larger than the room, larger than the air. "Dreams," he murmured, "are often truths we're too afraid to speak while awake." He stopped inches from me, the scent of cedar and smoke tangled with the fear in my lungs. "Do you trust me, Marina?" The question was a trap, a cliff with no ledge. My mind screamed no, my pulse whispered yes. Before I could answer, Thunder cracked across the sky, lightning lit his face in fragments, strong jaw, piercing eyes, the faint scar near his temple. He looked less like a father-in-law, and more like the architect of my destiny. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. Then he turned, hand on the doorknob. "When you're ready," he said, "come to the library. I'll show you what the empire is truly built on." And then he was gone. I pressed the page tighter against my chest, shivering, knowing that sleep would never touch me again. The library waited like a mouth hungry to swallow me. Shelves towered into darkness, the scent of leather and dust thick in the air. Victor stood by the fire, shadows dancing across his face. On the desk before,
the shot still rang in my ears, echoing like church bells struck wrong. Smoke curled in the library air, bitter and choking. Daniel crumpled onto the marble floor, clutching his hand. Blood streaked the tiles beneath him, bright and wet. I dropped to my knees beside him, heart hammering. "Daniel! Oh God, Daniel!" His fingers trembled, crimson running between them. The bullet had grazed his palm, tearing flesh but sparing bone. He shook, not from pain but from something deeper. Fear, rage, betrayal. Victor remained standing, towering above us both. His chest rose steady, unmarked, as if the bullet had bent to his will. His hand lowered slowly, calm, deliberate, as though he'd choreographed the entire struggle. I looked up at him, fury tearing through my veins. "You could have stopped him without this! He's your son!" Victor's eyes darkened. "He aimed a gun at you. Don't pretend he hasn't crossed the line." Daniel spat blood and words all at once. "You bastard!" His voice cracked, hoarse. "You'll never have her." His gaze locked onto mine, desperate, pleading, broken. "Don't let him take you, Marina. Don't let him." His body slumped, his strength spent. I pressed my hand against his wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Tears blurred my vision. "Daniel, stay with me, please." Victor knelt beside me, his hand brushing mine away from the wound. He pressed down firmly, expertly, his jaw tight. "He'll live," he said. "I'll make sure of it." The words were meant as reassurance, but the way he said them, calm, controlled, made my stomach twist. This wasn't care. This was command. Footsteps thundered in the hall. Livia Mota burst through the door, her suit immaculate despite the storm outside. Her eyes swept over the scene, smoke in the air, Daniel bleeding, Victor steady as stone, me trembling between them. "Call the doctor," Victor ordered. His tone left no room for hesitation. Livia nodded and vanished as swiftly as she came. Silence stretched between us, broken only by Daniel's ragged breathing. Victor leaned close, his voice low, intimate. "You see now, Marina, this house isn't safe, not from enemies, not from family. Only I can keep you safe." His words coiled around me like smoke, suffocating and seductive all at once. And for the first time, I realized the truth. Safety with Victor meant surrendering everything I was. I looked down at Daniel, pale and shaking in my arms, and wondered if there was anything left to save. The ambulance screamed through the night, its sirens carving the storm into pieces. I sat wedged between Daniel's pale body and the paramedic pressing gauze to his hand. His head lolled against the stretcher, lips moving without sound. I held his free hand, whispering that he was safe, though I wasn't sure either of us believed it.
Victor followed in his black car, never far, always present. Even with sirens blaring, I felt him like a shadow in the back of my mind. At the hospital, fluorescent lights swallowed us. The smell of antiseptic scraped at my throat. Doctors whisked Daniel away, the echo of their orders bouncing down the corridor. Laceration, blood loss, trauma. I sank into a plastic chair, trembling. My reflection in the glass looked older, harder. Then he appeared. Victor filled the hallway, his presence silencing even the nurses. His tuxedo jacket was gone, his shirt unbuttoned at the collar, his silver hair damp with storm. He moved toward me with the certainty of a man who had never been denied. I stood before he could reach me, fury boiling past my fear. "This is your fault. He had a gun because of you." Victor stopped inches away, his gaze steady. "He had a gun because he's weak. He can't carry what he's been given. He'll destroy himself and anyone close to him." "He's your son," I hissed. Victor's eyes burned, not with anger, but with something darker. "He's my heir. That's different." The words cut deeper than any wound. Before I could answer, the doors at the end of the corridor opened. Renato Prado strode in, rain dripping from his coat, a folder clutched to his chest. His eyes locked on me. Not Victor, not the chaos, me. "Marina," he said, breathless, "we need to talk, now." Victor's gaze snapped to him, sharp as a blade. Renato's jaw tightened. He knew the danger, but he didn't back down. He opened the folder just enough for me to see the edge of a photograph inside. Teresa Valencia, smiling, standing beside a man whose face was crossed out in thick black ink. "He found something," Renato said. "Something about your mother-in-law's death, and it changes everything." The air thickened. Victor stepped closer, his voice a warning. "Leave now, journalist. This is family." But Renato didn't move. His eyes stayed on mine, fierce, pleading. "Marina, if you want the truth, come with me, right now." My pulse thundered. Between the man who promised protection and the man who offered truth, I stood at a crossroads I could never step back from. The doctor's voice echoed from down the hall. "Marina? Mrs. Valencia? Your husband is stable, but he's asking for you." 3 voices pulled at me at once. Daniel, bleeding, fragile, calling. Victor, powerful, magnetic, demanding. Renato, dangerous, righteous, offering escape. And I knew. Whichever door I chose would decide not just my future, but whether I survived this empire at all.
The storm swallowed every sound but one, the slam of heavy boots against concrete. The warehouse doors yawned wide, lights spilling across the dark like a wound, and Victor's men poured in. Their silhouettes blurred in the rain, coats dripping, weapons gleaming. At the center of them, Victor stood motionless, his outline steady as a throne carved in stone. "Marina," he called, his voice rolling calm against the thunder. "You can't hide from me. You were never meant to." Renato yanked my arm. "Move!" My legs finally obeyed. We bolted between crates stacked high, shadows stretching in broken patterns. The smell of rust and oil filled my lungs. My shoes splashed in puddles. Every step a scream to the men closing in. Gunfire cracked. Bullets tore into steel, sparks raining. I ducked, heart in my throat, clinging to Renato's hand as he pulled me deeper into the maze. "This way," he hissed, shoving a door open with his shoulder. We stumbled into another corridor, dim and narrow, walls sweating with condensation. The storm outside howled through cracks in the roof. "Where are we going?" I gasped. "Somewhere they won't follow." He didn't sound certain. Behind us, Victor's voice echoed through the warehouse, calm, patient, unstoppable. You think you found truth in those papers, Marina. All you found are fragments. Come back to me, and I'll give you the whole story. I'll give you what Teresa couldn't. His words clawed at my chest. Teresa, the diary, the half-sentence still burning into my mind. The empire is built on... I couldn't stop hearing it, couldn't stop wanting to know. Renato pulled me through another door, into a stairwell spiraling down. The air grew colder, wetter. Pipes dripped overhead. We descended into the belly of the warehouse, where shadows smothered the light. At the bottom, a door stood half open. Inside, dim bulbs swung above a forgotten storage room. Rusted lockers lined the walls. Dust clung to every surface. Renato pushed me inside, shutting the door with care. He leaned against it, chest heaving. "We'll wait. Let the storm cover our trail." I clutched the folder to my chest, Teresa's face staring up at me from the photographs. My body trembled, not just from fear, but from something darker, a hunger for the truth, even if it burned me alive. Renato sank onto a crate, running his hand through his soaked hair. His eyes found mine. "You shouldn't have come into their world. I told myself I'd never drag you into this, but you're already in too deep." I swallowed hard. "Tell me everything. All of it. No more fragments." He hesitated, then reached into his coat. From the inside pocket, he pulled a flash drive, wrapped in plastic. He held it out to me. "This is what Teresa died for." My hand shook as I took it. "What's on it?" Renato's gaze hardened. Records, names, proof that the Valença Empire was built on blood money, shipping manifests of weapons smuggled through their ports, political bribes traced straight to Brasilia, even offshore accounts tied to assassinations. If this goes public, it destroys Victor. It destroys Daniel. Maybe it even destroys you. The flash drive felt heavier than lead. "What do you mean, destroys me?" Renato leaned forward, voice dropping. "Because your marriage makes you complicit. Legally, financially, you're tied to them now. If the empire burns, you'll burn with it. Unless..." His hand brushed mine, almost trembling. "Unless you walk away. With me." The words clung in the air, fragile, dangerous. Before I could answer, the light above us flickered, once, twice, then darkness swallowed the room. My breath caught. "Renato!" The door burst open. Victor stood there silhouetted by the storm's glow. His men flanked him, shadows with guns, but it was his presence that filled the room, suffocating. His eyes found mine instantly, burning like embers. "You think you've escaped me," he said, stepping inside, rain dripping from his coat. "But Marina, you've only run deeper into my arms." Renato shoved me behind him, gun in hand. His voice shook with fury. "Stay back, Victor!" He didn't even blink. "If you shoot me, boy, my empire buries you before dawn. If you hand me what's mine, maybe you walk out of here alive." His gaze flicked to the flash drive, clenched in my fist. I froze. The storm outside screamed. The walls dripped. Renato's hand trembled on the trigger. Victor took another step, slow, steady. His voice softened, wrapping around me like velvet chains. "Marina, Teresa trusted the wrong man once. Don't make her mistake. Give it to me. Let me protect you." My pulse thundered. My fingers clenched around the flash drive until it dug into my skin. Between the truth that could burn the empire and the man who was the empire, I stood on the knife edge of a choice that could never be undone. Renato's whisper came fierce in my ear. "Don't listen to him. Teresa died because he trusted him. If you trust him, you'll be next." Victor's eyes never left mine. "If you trust him, you'll lose everything." The storm roared, the walls shook, and in my hand, the flash drive pulsed like a beating heart. The rain outside felt like war drums, pounding the warehouse walls until they shook. Victor's men stood motionless at the threshold, their weapons lowered but ready. The air smelled of rust, smoke, and storm. Renato's gun wavered in his hand, his body pressed close to mine, shielding me, yet I could feel the tremor in his grip. Victor, by contrast, looked carved from granite. His silver hair gleamed damp in the light, his eyes steady, unblinking, as if this entire moment was already decided. The flash drive seared into my palm, heavy, alive. "Give it to me," Victor said softly, his voice threading into my chest like smoke. "You don't know the enemies you've just inherited. That drive won't save you, Marina. It will bury you. With me, you'll live. Without me, you'll burn." Renato's breath brushed my ear. "Don't believe him. That drive is proof. It's everything Teresa tried to protect. If you give it to him, you'll never know the truth." I stood frozen between them, both voices clawing at my soul. The son I had married was bleeding in a hospital bed. The father I couldn't resist loomed before me, and the man who had once loved me held a gun at my side. I wanted to scream. Instead, I moved. With a trembling breath, I raised my hand, flash drive clenched tight, and stepped forward. Both men reacted at once. Renato caught my wrist, his voice breaking. "No, Marina!" Victor's hand closed over mine, steady, strong, inevitable. His skin burned hot against mine as his fingers pried open my fist. The flash drive slipped free, falling. For a beat heart, it spun in the air, silver light catching its edges. Then the storm surged through a broken window, a gust of rain and wind sweeping it sideways. It struck the concrete floor, bounced once, and skidded beneath a row of rusted lockers. All three of us froze. The silence was deafening. Then, Victor's men surged forward. Renato fired. Gunshots exploded, echoing like thunder. Sparks flew from metal as bullets struck steel. I ducked, heart in my throat, clinging to Renato's hand as he pulled me deeper into the maze. "This way!" he hissed, shoving a door open with his shoulder. We stumbled into another corridor, dim and narrow, walls sweating with condensation. The storm outside howled through cracks in the roof. "Where are we going?" I gasped. "Somewhere they won't follow." He didn't sound certain. Behind us, Victor's voice echoed through the warehouse, calm, patient, unstoppable. "You think you found truth in those papers, Marina. All you found are fragments. Come back to me, and I'll give you the whole story. I'll give you what Teresa couldn't." His words clawed at my chest. Teresa, the diary, the half-sentence still burning into my mind. The empire is built on... I couldn't stop hearing it, couldn't stop wanting to know. Renato pulled me through another door, into a stairwell spiraling down. The air grew colder, wetter. Pipes dripped overhead. We descended into the belly of the warehouse, where shadows smothered the light. At the bottom, a door stood half open. Inside, dim bulbs swung above a forgotten storage room. Rusted lockers lined the walls. Dust clung to every surface. Renato pushed me inside, shutting the door with care. He leaned against it, chest heaving. "We'll wait. Let the storm cover our trail." I clutched the folder to my chest, Teresa's face staring up at me from the photographs. My body trembled.
The garage echoed like a cathedral of steel. Water dripped from the ceiling, each drop striking concrete like a clock counting down. Victor's silhouette cut through the headlights, tall, immovable, sovereign. His men fanned out behind him, shadows armed with iron. "Enough running," he said, voice low, resonant. "You've seen pieces of the truth.
You think that makes you dangerous, but pieces alone won't save you, Marina. Only I can. Renato shoved me further behind the pillar, his gun raised. His voice trembled with fury. "Stay back, Victor! This ends tonight!" Victor laughed softly, without mirth. "Ends? Nothing ends. Not until I decide it does." His eyes found me through the shadows. Teresa thought the same. And where is she now? The name struck like a lash. I flinched. Teresa's face still burned in my mind from the videos, her warnings, her unfinished sentence. Renato's hand tightened on the trigger. "You killed her!" Victor didn't blink. "Careful, boy. Words like that can end your life faster than bullets." I stepped out from behind the pillar before Renato could stop me. My voice cracked, but it carried. "Did you?" Victor's eyes locked on mine. For a heartbeat, silence. Even the storm outside seemed to pause. Then he spoke, slow, deliberate. "I loved her." The words made my blood run cold. Love. Not denial, not defense. A confession, laced with shadows. Renato spat. "Love? You call that love? You used her, you trapped her, and when she tried to escape, you silenced her." Victor's jaw tightened, the faintest crack in his composure. "She wasn't strong enough to survive in this world. You're making the same mistake." His gaze seared into me. "But you are different." My breath caught. Every warning Teresa had whispered replayed in my mind. "Don't let him charm you." Renato moved closer, his voice fierce. "Marina, don't listen. He'll twist every word. Teresa saw it too late. You don't have to." Victor's men raised their guns, the metallic clicks echoing. Victor lifted a hand, stopping them. His voice dropped to a whisper meant only for me. "You hold the drive. You hold her words. But ask yourself, who gave her the ink? Who let her write at all? She thought she was free, but even her defiance lived inside my palm." My knees weakened. The thought lodged like poison. Teresa's diary, her recordings, her warnings, had they all been allowed, orchestrated, controlled? Renato's voice cut through. "He's lying! Marina, you know it!" But did I? Victor stepped forward, his presence filling the space, his eyes never leaving mine. "If I wanted you destroyed, Marina, you'd already be ash. You're here because I chose it, just like her." Teresa's face flashed before me, sad, beautiful, broken. My chest tightened until I couldn't breathe. I dropped to my knees, clutching the flash drive, my tears mixing with the rainwater pooling on the floor. Victor knelt before me, his hand brushing my cheek, gentle as silk. "You feel it, don't you? The empire in your veins. You were never meant to belong to Daniel. You were meant for me." Renato roared, lunging forward. The shot rang out like thunder, deafening, final. For a moment, no one moved. Smoke curled in the air, and I couldn't tell who had fallen. The storm outside beat against the mansion like a warning, but inside the air was still, too still. Victor's presence filled the room, suffocating as velvet chains. The glow of the laptop screen still lingered on my face. Teresa's last confession burned into my bones. The empire is built on graves. Victor moved closer, slow, deliberate. His shadow stretched long across the polished floor. "You see it now," he murmured. "You see what the world really is. And you know why only I can hold it together."
I backed toward the wall, the flash drive clenched in my fist. You admit it, then. You admit the blood, the deaths, the empire built on coffins. His smile was faint, almost sad. Admission is for the weak. I don't admit, Marina. I declare. Yes, I built this empire on graves because graves are the only foundation that lasts. The words struck me like blows. I wanted to scream, to spit in his face, but my voice caught. Because part of me, shamefully, horrifyingly understood. I'd lived my whole life clawing past those who fell. I hadn't left bodies, but I'd stepped over them. And Victor was only the final shape of that hunger. He stepped closer, his hand brushing mine. You see it now. You see what the world really is, and you know why only I can hold it together. I backed toward the wall, the flash drive clenched in my fist. You admit it, then. You admit the blood, the deaths, the empire built on coffins. His smile was faint, almost sad. Admission is for the weak. I don't admit, Marina. I declare. Yes, I built this empire on graves because graves are the only foundation that lasts. The words struck me like blows. I wanted to scream, to spit in his face, but my voice caught. Because part of me, shamefully, horrifyingly understood. I'd lived my whole life clawing past those who fell. I hadn't left bodies, but I'd stepped over them. And Victor was only the final shape of that hunger. He stepped closer, his hand brushing mine. You ended this, Teresa, he murmured, trying to run from what they stole from you. I didn't bring you here to be another Teresa. I brought you here because you're stronger, because you won't run. I jerked my hand back, fury trembling in my veins. You think I'll be your queen on a throne of corpses? His eyes darkened. You think you already are. Hours passed in a blur. I barely remembered being locked in the study, the sound of rain muffled by heavy drapes. I clutched Teresa's flash drive as if it could anchor me, replaying her face, her voice, her plea. Then, footsteps. A whisper. At the door. Marina. I froze. It wasn't Victor. The door creaked open, and a figure slipped inside. Wet, pale, bleeding through the bandage around his shoulder. Renato. I nearly collapsed. You're alive. His hand pressed against the wound, his face twisted in pain. Barely. The police pulled me out. I had to find you before he... He staggered, catching himself on the desk. His eyes locked on the laptop. You saw it, didn't you? Teresa's last words. Tears burned my eyes. She said the empire is built on graves. She said to run if he ever claimed to love me. Renato's jaw clenched. Then you know what he is. Before I could answer, the sound of slow, deliberate clapping filled the room. Victor stood in the doorway. My blood turned to ice. He walked in, calm as a predator. His gaze flicked over Renato, bleeding, trembling, then settled on me. You see it now, don't you? You see what the world really is. And you know why only I can hold it together. I warned you he'd drag you down. And here he is, broken, pathetic, clinging to you like a drowning man. Renato raised his gun with shaking hands. Stay back. Victor didn't even flinch. Do you really think you can stop me? With that wound? With your weakness? His eyes seared into mine. You've seen his truth, Marina, and you've seen mine. One offers you death in a gutter. The other offers you the throne of the world. Choose. Renato's voice broke. Marina, please, don't let him. Victor cut him off, his voice thunderous now. Say it, here, now. Who do you belong to? The storm outside howled. The room trembled. My heart split in two. I looked at Renato, bleeding, desperate, the boy who once loved me for who I was. I looked at Victor, powerful, terrifying, magnetic, the man who wanted to rewrite my destiny. And I realized that whatever I chose, I would never escape the graves beneath this empire. The storm screamed through the shutters, but the real thunder was inside the study. Renato, pale and trembling, leveled his gun with both hands. Victor, tall and unyielding, didn't so much as blink, and I, caught between them, felt my chest split in two. Put it down, boy, Victor said, his voice calm as the sea before a storm. You're bleeding out. One squeeze of that trigger and you'll collapse before I even hit the floor. Renato's finger twitched on the trigger, his jaw locked. If I die tonight, I die knowing I tried to stop you. That's more than Teresa could say. The name sliced the air like lightning. Victor's face hardened, the mask slipping for the briefest moment. A flash of something raw, pain, anger, regret. Then it was gone, replaced with steel. You know nothing of her, he growled. I know enough, Renato spat, voice shaking with rage. She tried to escape you. You chained her the way you're chaining Marina. His eyes snapped to me. They burned, molten, demanding. Is that what you think? My throat closed, words tangled inside me. Teresa's last warning throbbed in my skull. If he ever tells you he loves you, run. Renato's hand shook, his voice breaking. Marina, listen to me. This is your chance. Choose freedom. End this with me. Don't let him take you. Victor stepped forward, fearless, his presence swallowing the room. Freedom? He scoffed. There is no freedom, Marina. There is power, there is survival, and there is me. He extended his hand again, a gesture of command, of fate. Come to me. My chest heaved, my hands trembled. Two paths stretched before me, one drenched in blood, the other in chains. Renato's knees buckled, blood soaking his shirt. His eyes pleaded, Marina. And then everything shattered. The window exploded inward, glass spraying across the room. Armed police stormed through, shouts filling the air. Hands up! Drop your weapons! Chaos erupted. Renato fired. The shot missed, ricocheting off the chandelier. Victor's men burst through the doors, guns drawn, colliding with the police in a storm of bullets. I dove to the ground as smoke filled the study. Splinters, glass, gunfire, it all blurred into madness. My ears rang, my lungs burned. Through the haze I saw Victor. He moved like a shadow, weaving through bullets, untouchable. His hand found mine again, gripping hard, dragging me upright. Marina, he shouted over the chaos, with me! Behind him, Renato staggered, his voice hoarse, desperate. No, don't, Marina, fight him! My body tore in two directions. The storm outside howled, the empire inside roared, and I couldn't breathe. Then I felt it, the flesh drive against my chest. Teresa's voice whispering through me, the empire is built on graves, and I knew, whether in ash or in shadow, I would have to bury someone. Gunfire turned the study into a furnace of smoke and thunder. Wood splintered, glass shattered, plaster rained from the ceiling. Police and Valencia men clashed in a storm of bullets and shouts. The chandelier swayed dangerously above, groaning like a beast ready to fall. Victor's grip on my wrist